Good morning, English 12. It's Mrs. Sopiarz-Rianda, and I hope you had an excellent weekend and you are ready to get going on one of our last sessions of the semester and of the unit. Remember that session 2 is due, as always, by Sunday, but we only have 3 sessions. So this week and next week are your last 2 weeks of content. As you can see right here, session 2 is due by Sunday, May 4th before midnight. And then our last session is session 3, where you'll be submitting your final reflective essay. We're going to be writing your first draft of your reflective essay, or project this week. And then the last week of school before last day for seniors, Monday the 12th through May the 16th, May 12th through May 16th, excuse me, is final week, and I'll go into more detail about that later. But it will be an opportunity for you to get your grade where you basically want it. It's much like a catch-up week, I guess, from last semester. And then finally, our last day for seniors will be May 16th. It's all very exciting. It's all coming very quickly. So click on Unit 2 as always. We are working on Unit 8, Session 2, storyboarding and drafting your reflective presentation. Clicking on the session plan. Click here. This will be the image of the video that you're watching right now. And in this session, we're going to be doing the nitty-gritty details of your reflective presentation. This is where all of the work is, basically, for your reflective presentation. So by the end of this session, you'll have a great draft and ready to transform it into an amazing final reflection for your presentation. So here are the assignments that are due this week, and then the suggested schedule for the week. Your storyboard is worth 30 points, your pre-write is 50, and then your draft you're actually going to be submitting into the discussion. So your draft will be submitted into the discussion, and that's where we're going to be doing our peer reviewing. So you can see right here on Monday you should be reviewing that presentation and creating the storyboard. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, you should be creating your storyboard pre-writing for your reflective presentation. And then Thursday, submit that draft reflective presentation into the discussion board. Make a couple of comments on Thursday and Friday. And that will bring us to the end of the week. Okay, so in this session, we're going to continue our work on your final project. And our goal for this session is to gain a better understanding of the underlying structure of a well-written reflection, as well as complete a draft for the text of your presentation. Because remember, in the presentation in this project, there's really 2 pieces: the presentation aspect of it and then the written reflection as well. So we are going to be really focusing on that written reflection this week. So click next. Before we dive into that work, though, we're going to be looking at another another reflective presentation. And what you're going to do is take a moment and you are going to watch this video on fighting cancer with dance, and take a moment and look at that example of the presentation and reflect on past experiences, and then uses how she uses those experiences to change insight with the audience. So for this example, I want you to consider these questions as you are watching this video. And then click next. So we're going to start understanding the idea of storyboarding. And every text has an underlying structure or organization that helps an audience to follow the text as well as learn from it. So in this session, we're going to be using something called storyboarding to help you understand the example, with the example fighting cancer with dance. And then it'll help you draft your own reflective presentation. So a storyboard is when an author puts images and ideas they want to share in a presentation into a rough format, revealing the structure of the overall presentation. So in this case, we're going to be using PowerPoint, a presentation tool, to storyboard her reflection. So below you're going to find, again, the link to her video and then the PowerPoint format in 2 different compatibilities. So again, what I would recommend is watching the video again, and as you watch, add details into one of these, whatever is compatible, PowerPoint storyboards, including images to represent each area of her presentation. So this process will lead to a deeper understanding of the way that she builds her reflection and her final message. So just to click on that, I want to show you what that looks like. Okay, so you can see this is the first slide of the PowerPoint presentation, and this follows the structure and organization of her presentation. So the goddess myth, you would insert details of the myth here from the video and how she learned it, and its significance, and then insert an image. Next, you would insert her achievements and then also insert an image. And then you would go on and continue through the entire PowerPoint presentation, adding images and details from that presentation. Okay? And then you'll submit that storyboard right here. Next, you're going to be storyboarding as pre-writing. So now that you've seen what a storyboard can look like for a reflective presentation, it's time to actually create one for your presentation. So on the left are 2 common ways to organize a reflection based on the examples that we've talked about so far in this unit. This organization is when you are focusing on just one event, and then this organization is when you're sharing multiple events. So you'll have to decide on which type of organization you want for your own reflective presentation. Okay, so remember that the goal of a reflection is to talk about the past experiences and reflect how that experience has changed you and could change you in the future. So the final presentation for this assignment will be about 5 to 10 minutes long. So you should have at least 6 slides minimum. Okay? You'll submit your storyboard on the next page for 50 points. It'll be a great resource as you start actually creating and practicing your presentation. So again, it should be a minimum of 6 slides long and include both images and text, just like the example from the dancing, what's that title called? Just from the presentation that we just did in the previous slide. Okay, so you're going to be doing the exact same thing and submitting it right here. And then finally, the last thing that you're going to be doing in this session is you're going to be taking your storyboard and turning it into a written draft of what you'd like to actually say in your presentation. So although later we're going to be transforming your draft into a video that includes both images and your voice, at this point in the project, we're writing a draft of the text that you'll be actually saying in your reflective presentation. So the final project needs to be about 5 to 10 minutes long. So this draft should be about 600 to 1200 words long, because that's about how long it would take for it to fit 5 minutes of video. Okay? And if you're feeling overwhelmed at this point, don't worry. This is just a draft, and just go down here and look at all the different examples that we've been using in this session so far, and then just imitate one of your favorite elements in your own reflection. Okay? So be prepared to submit your draft in the discussion on the next page. The draft is worth another 50 points. So this is where you're going to submit your rough draft of the written part of your reflective presentation. Okay, so submit it as a file and then respond to 2 other students and provide feedback. The last thing that we're doing in this session is really to think about one final thing before we wrap it up. And at this point, you have a great start of what your reflective essay presentation will be. You know the story you'll be telling, how it's organized, and the words that you'll use to tell it. Now it's time to start thinking about the how. So here are the minimum requirements. 5 to 10 minutes long, includes at least some images that reinforce the message, and that could be an image of you actually giving the speech in an expressive way. And it includes your own voice reading the reflection expressively. and share your presentation in easy to access file format, preferably YouTube or another video sharing site. Even if the presentation is private and not accessible to the world, just us. And so here, there are just a ton of different ways that you can do this. There are so many media tools that you can use to meet these qualifications. And here are just a few ideas that you can use. So this week, at the end of this week, what I really want you to start doing is thinking about which one of these tools that you're going to be using, okay? And which one you're more comfortable with or easily accessible to you, okay? And then we're done. I mean, it's been a very busy week. This is a jam-packed week, but you've done most of your week by the end of this session. So now it's all downhill. Just one session left, and then you're going to be transforming your text into an amazing final product. If you have any questions this week, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help.